Oh, you're late? I suppose a wizard taught you how to tell time. No bother, I'm just happy you've joined me. I'm Timbo Took, and this is A Joy of Painting Middle-earth, a time when we come together to paint the most fantastic landscapes Middle-earth has to offer. And maybe we'll paint a scary one a time or two. That can be quite fun, you know. Now, I may not be the best painter in the Shire, but I do love it so, and I'd love for you to paint right along with me. So, if you're ready, grab your paints and your brushes, and let's go on an adventure. Alright, welcome to the Joy of Painting Middle-earth today. Now, you can see we have one of our black canvases up on our easel again, and this is always a fun one. We like to do these, very much so. Now, today's is going to be a little bit different. Normally we do an oil painting, a wet on wet technique. But today we're going to be using some acrylic gesso paints. That's right, we're going to put them on, and these ones dry very quickly. So it's not like the oil paints where you can just wait a little while and go back and move the paint around. Once you put it on the canvas, it's going to dry, and it's going to dry pretty quick, so you can't keep moving it around. Now, this is a fun painting Bob Ross the Blue taught us how to do, and I always like doing these types of paintings. And we are going to use a little bit different technique today, as I said. And what we're going to be painting, well, what we're going to be painting with right now is just one of our towels made of paper. That's right. Now, I've twisted it around, just kind of made it into a little bit of a rose shape, I guess you could call that. And then we're going to go up here, and we're doing a nighttime scene. And we're doing a scene when the Black Riders were in the Shire, and they were looking for old Frodo, right? So they want to get away. But what we're going to paint is that moonlit night and the trees and everything that was in there. So we're going to jump right into it. Pretty easy. We're just using that paper towel. We're putting it right into the acrylic paint, and we're going to decide where our light source is going to be. And that moon is right back here. Whoa! This one is a little bit runnier than normal, but that's fine. That's fine. It just kind of goes all over the place. So just take it in and then just kind of turn your hand as you spread it on the canvas. As I said, this one is it'll dry pretty quick. And this is just for our light. This is the backdrop we're going to paint against. Come back, get a little bit more. Maybe there's some area down here where it seems to be the light is reflecting on, and we'll just kind of bring these ones together. There we go. Just tap that around, tap that all in. There we go. And maybe over here as well. There's truly only one light source, and that's the moon on this evening. But the moon can pick up reflections in different places. So different places will be a little bit brighter than others. So we just come, and like I said, we just tap that in. This is all going to be pushed into the background. There we go. There we go. Just bring it right on out. Turn your paper towel around so you're not making the same shape everywhere you touch it. And you can see we're just tapping that right on there. Put one of your big old hobbit feet on the canvas, or on the easel anyways. Not on the canvas, you'd be quite flexible if you could put a foot up on the canvas. But just on your easel, hold it steady, hold it in place. One day I'll get a nice heavy duty easel and we won't have to worry about that too much. But as for now, we just put this all in here, and you can see some places it goes on a little heavier, and that's a brighter white, and then other places it goes on not so heavy, and it just gives you all those different tones. And of course you have the black canvas right underneath. So we're just going to do this, and you can see very quickly, and it just sets in some very interesting shapes and tones in the background. This is working with color values. Oh, there we go. Right there, we don't want that to be lost down there. So let's just put some down here. Maybe take a little more. There we go. Now you'll see as we start to put our trees and things in here, all this will take shape and you go, right now it looks like just a mess. But once we get everything else in there, you'll see it becomes quite an interesting backdrop. That's right. There we go. Bring it right on up to the top. Right to the top of your painting. There we go. Now, because we're not doing a wet-on-wet technique today, you may want to let this dry a little bit before we come back and we put some trees and things over it. So what we'll do is I'll just come back to you in a few minutes. I'm going to go check on the garden. I'll come back to see if it's dry, and then we'll go into painting some trees right on top of it. Now, if you're impatient and you just want to get on with it, you can. It'll mix. It'll just mix. But we'll give that just a minute to dry. Okay, I'm back. Now it's still a little wet in there. I didn't take as long as you thought I might. But it's okay. We can go right on top of it. Now, what I've done is I've gone and I've raided the little hobbits closet for their art supplies. And I got one of these very fancy sponge brushes. That's right. They cost about, 15 cents a piece. So we're just going to use that. We got some other brushes we'll use, but right now I'm just going to we're going into a black gesso acrylic paint. There we go. We'll just put it on this brush and we're just going to drop in some trees. Now, the biggest tree, the main tree I'm going to put is going to be right in front of this light source. That'll give it some real contrast there. So we're just going to come down and we'll be right here. There we go. And bring it down. There's the trunk there. Get some more of that. And bring in a branch from right here. It comes together. There we go. Not much to this tree. Not much to it at all. And maybe one coming right up the middle there. There we go. There we are. We can bring, he's got some big branches and things here. Oh, I don't know what that was. That's okay. That's okay. So he comes. That's our big tree there in the middle. There we go. Put him on there. Let's give some other trees around. Now in this brightest spot is where the trees are going to be the darkest. As they move away, they'll catch a little more of the light. But right here, they're blocking out the light. So we're just going to put in some more trees. And the harder you push down with these sponge brushes, the thicker a line they'll give you. There we go. And I know it doesn't look like much now, but we'll give it some character and some personality here. There we go. We'll put in some more branches and things on these trees. Right back here, maybe. Another one here. There we go. And they'll just kind of get lost. There we go. We can even, we'll just take some of that black and we'll mix it in with our white and give us a nice gray. that we can work with here. There we go. Just to give us some different shades. There we are. So now let's put a few of these in right there. There we go. Some of these are just picking up some of that moonlight. There we are. And then maybe just pop back in to our white. And these ones towards the edge, those will be the brightest. There we are. Now I also I'm going to put in a fence post here. So let me take that sponge brush. There we are. And while I have some of that gray, let me take the gray and I'm going to do just some posts here along the road. There we go. Now these ones are going to be closest to us, so they are a little bigger. And these ones will run away from us. And now we're not gonna use that whole edge. We're just going to bring them closer together and make them shorter. There we are. Okay. Let's get our black again, and we'll drop in right there. We'll bring them across. He's gonna march right over that way, right over that way. Some of these fence pieces aren't exactly straight. That's okay. That's okay. They'll just come along this way. And you see we give them a little bit of an angle going up and down, and that way it gives us the illusion that that fence is running away from us. There we go. There we go. Come back to some of these and make them a little more defined. There we are. Now, it's a little bit of a crooked fence, but sometimes a farmer maybe was in a little bit of a rush when he put up that fence. So, now this fence here, let's say he just is catching some of that light. Just take that same brush and right along the top edge, just catching the light right on top of those slats that go from one post to the next. There we go. There we are. Now you can see how it catches there, right down here. That just defines the top and the bottom of that wood plank for us. That one was a little bright. He shouldn't be that bright, so maybe we come back and we'll darken him up. But here we just using the very tip of that sponge brush. Nothing technical, nothing technical. There we go. And it doesn't need to be solid light on there because some of it's being caught in the shadows. There we are. There we go. Now, we're just kind of switching back and forth from the black to the white and maybe the gray in between. This one, I think we just want to darken that out. We got him a little bright there. There we go. And we'll do the same to him. Now on those fence posts, they have a side that catches the light and a side that doesn't. Making the difference there can really bring out the detail of how the painting is catching the light. And this one will be a little darker. He doesn't catch much light because this tree blocks a lot of that light. There we go. And that way, it's not all just one flat color that's making it up. There we go. Now, at the bottom of that fence post, that's where you have some grass and things that grow. Maybe it hasn't been. I'm just going to use the side of the brush as we do this. We don't want it to be so thick. And we'll just come in here and there's some bushes and things down here. We'll just, right there, growing up right in front of that fence. Just drop it in. Maybe one comes a little taller. And what this is doing is this is pushing that fence back a little further into our picture. By having some of this growth, some of these things here coming right up in front of that. Now you don't want to completely hide it, and I don't know what kind of bushes these are. They look a little funny. See if we can't get a good shape going with those. And right there, it just kind of comes up in front of that post. There we go. Just come back, vary out those colors a little bit, but don't smash them together so much they just mix and just all become one shade of gray there. There we go. Maybe not the best brush to do this one with, but that's okay. We're just playing around, having a good time. There we are. And you can even come back and highlight this with a little bit of color. Once it's dry, you can drop in some colors in there and give it a lot of variation. There we go. There we go. And we'll I'll just put some of this in here. And it looks like we're just making a mess down here, but you'll see we'll come back and we'll just put some other things in. There we are. So you say, what's going on there? What is going on there? Now we want to make our path. So that path is going to be the darkest. And when we lay it down anyways. So we're just going to start. We're just going to come from this end. This is where the path is coming from. Just bring them across. There we go. Just going into your black. It'll mix. So it won't just be one shade of black. And that just comes this way. There we go. And the path is in front of these bushes, so that even pushes those back. Again, it's like making a sandwich when we paint. We do it in layers. With each layer, we're pushing back. So this path just comes right here. It's a well-traveled path. And the closer it is to you, the wider that path will seem. There we go. And we can always come back and darken it up as well. There we are. Now we'll go back to some of our white and grays. Now there's some bushes and things down here in front of these paths. Or this path anyways. Right here. There we go. Just sort of pushing that, and it gets to look like a mess, but it just takes a few highlights to really bring it back. So it looks like, oh my goodness, there's a whole lot going on there. And just fill up this area with some bushes and things. There we go. Just put that on. Just kind of going willy-nilly over here. There we go. There we go. That'll be like grass down there. Just using up your paint before it dries too much on you. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Come back before our black is all too dry. And just a reminder here that this path is black. Right there. A dark path that maybe you run down at night if some black riders are chasing you. Oh, that is a great part to the story. Let's see. Let's add some things that we're missing back here. Let's just go. I've got this little, it's a little script liner brush, I guess. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to get that a little wet. We'll add some water in here so it slides across the canvas. Real easy. Now, of course, these acrylics are just water-based. So we'll come up and we're just, maybe we need a little more water. There we go. We just want to add some branches here. Add them in. That's what we were missing, just some of these branches. There we are. And it doesn't really matter. You just go any way you can. Just get that on the brush. Maybe a little water, a little more water. That's the thing, when you're doing branches, don't think about it too much. Just let it touch the canvas and just kind of wiggle its way down, even if it doesn't connect to the limb you think it should. It might just be off further in the distance. There we go. Just back somewhere you can't really see. See, there's just some branches and things back there. There we go. Oh, this paint is starting to dry on me quick. Not like my oil paints that'll stay wet for days. Oh no, these dry up. These acrylics dry up nice and quick. There we go. And sometimes you don't see the whole branch. It gets hidden by leaves that are back there. There we go. And you could add these little branches all day long if you'd like. Come into some of your white here, towards the outside where these white branches will be. Just this white acrylic that I'm using it's a little smoother, a little more liquid to it than the black. The black doesn't quite sing across the canvas quite like this white does. So the white's a little easier. And you'll see it just gives the appearance. Maybe there's some things going on back here. There we are. There we are. So now we have plenty of branches and things back there. I'm going to go into a brush. This one will give us some more leaf-like shapes. Nothing special about this brush. It's just kind of an intermediate size. And what I'm going to do is we're just going to come in and give some leaves on this tree that just block out some of that light that's back there. Just block that out. Just going into the black. And just gives you more things going on. Just kind of softens that light up as it moves through that tree. There we go. And just go through, and you can use a bigger brush if you want. And just tap those in. There we go. And just be sure to move your brush around. Just flip it over. Give it the different sides that it is painting with. Because that way it gives it so it's not just into a pattern. There we are. There we go. Some things happening down there. Then we'll come and do kind of the same in some of these areas. These are leaves and things going on in these bushes. Just mix it in. Just gives you more highlights and shadows in some of these things. If you have an area that's too bright, put a little black on it. If you have an area that's too dark, put a little light on it. It's the lights and the darks, that contrast that tells you your story. So you can come down here and there's just some things along the path here that are happening. Just gives you that darker area at the bottom of the bushes. There we go. And you can take all day to do as much as you want here. You can see there's no real rhyme or reason to it. Your imagination just kind of tells you what you're seeing. It knows it's been there before. It's seen these things happening. You just want to break it up so it's all those different things playing off each other. There we go. And you see we've come down here and we've just added some texture to these bushes. Just trying to use up the paint that we have. We don't want to waste. That's right. Just come through. You don't think about it too much. You just let the canvas and the paint be your partners here. There we go. Maybe move down to this bottom and do the same here. We're just putting it in. Somebody will look at this and think you thought long and hard about how to do all this. They don't know that you just kind of let it flow. You just thought of your story. You thought of your favorite hobbits being chased by those black riders, those devils. That's right. Oh, and poor Fatty Bulger, who stayed behind. I know some of you don't know too much about old Fatty, but oh, he was a brave lad. And we just put that in. He stayed behind to pretend to be Mr. Frodo. I think he was one of the bravest hobbits from our stories. There we go. And we can even come back in with some white and give some highlights after we do all this. Now we're just kind of playing around here. Just find your dark areas and say, oh, that needs some shadow. We always need shadow in our stories. Shadows tell more of the story than anything, especially when we're laying the story down here on the canvas. There we go. This is a fun one. Let's come back to that white. Whoa! That was a close one. Oh, it almost landed face down with paint all over the floor, but I got lucky. All right. As I said, let's come in here with some of our white and do some of the same kind of highlights there. There we go. There we are. Just with a light touch. Just as if it's a long piece of grass that no horse has come by and chomped down in a while. You can even go back into some of your water. Pick that up. Help that paint flow smoother. There we go. See that? And the same down here. Do some of that down here. Not much to it. What that does by going right in front of the path there, it gives us that depth. There we are. Now you can take all day long to do this type of thing. Just depends on how much time you want to spend putting in all these little details. Like I said, you just be quick about it. Just be quick there. The canvas will help you decide what needs to be where and when it needs to be. Go back to some more water so we can smooth that out. There we go. Some of these tall reeds of grass here. There we are. Nothing to it. Maybe some more up here. Grab some more water if you wish. There we are. And again, just give some highlights in there. There we go. Maybe we want a bush right over here. Let's make a big old bush coming right in front of the path. Now you can grab all kinds of different brushes and do all kinds of different things here. There we go. Today's painting is definitely not one of the most technical ones that we've done. This is more just tricking your eye, the way the eyes get tricked at night when there's not a lot of light shining through. There we go. Now let's maybe give some highlight on these branches. Right on top of these branches, right there. Right where the moonlight is catching them. There we go. Of course, they're blocking the light, but their edges will pick it up. There we are. Some of them catch more light than others. There we go. Now, if you like that, you might just want to stop right there and say, oh, I like that black and white painting. Let's just leave it at that. But we can come back to this once it dries, and we can drop in a little bit of color there, and I'll show you that. So we'll give this one a little bit of time to dry, and then we'll come back with some oil paint. But we really want to make sure it's dry, because if it's not quite dry, those oils don't mix well with the acrylics. And you have to have the acrylics down first and the oils on top. You can't do it the other way around. That's right. All right, so we'll come back to this in a little bit. Okay, so now I've given this a little bit of time to dry. Hopefully it'll be dry enough that I can paint right over the top of that with some color. So here we go. We're just going to do a little bit of a glaze. So I've taken my liquid clear, that's right, you know, and we're just going to put this right over the top. Right over the top. It gives our colors something to mix into. It doesn't need to be a real heavy coat. But it just gives us some area here that we can paint on. There we go. Okay. Now that I've got my liquid clear put on, I'm going to clean off my brush and we'll go into it with some color. All right, here we go. I've got some phthalo blue here and just some cadmium yellow. So we're just going to come into this. And we just want that night sky, it has a bluish tint to it. So what we're going to do is we're going to start in the corners here. And as I said, it's just kind of putting a glaze over the top of it. So we're just going to rub this in. There we go. And this is where that light is coming through. And don't worry about this too much. If it looks a little dark, we can always come back, but you want it to be darkest on the outer edges. There we go. And we're just mixing this right in here. All right. And just pull this down just across the painting. And it just kind of goes on as a glaze. You see? There we go. So it's darkest on these outer edges. There we go. Now we have that moonlight, just picking that up. We're going to make a green here. And we'll darken that green up a little bit. So now, right here on the bottom, and you may say, oh, I liked it better when it was just black and white. Well, you can keep yours that way. That's just fine. Or you can do another one. It's always fun to do a couple. All right, here we go. And just come in right across our bushes and things down here. There we go. So you see what that does? That just brings out a little bit of color in here. There we go. And we're going to come right down here at the bottom of this fence. Mix it in there. And that's how the moonlight picks up the colors at night. You can tell the colors there, but it doesn't look as brilliant as it does during the day. There we go. Now, also, the moonlight can make it hazy. Okay, and also I realize there's a little bit of a glare on the painting. So if I move it, you can see the details a little more. Sorry about that, just when I put that liquid clear down there. So hopefully it didn't look, I know it probably looked really bright. I know it probably looked way too bright, but again, you see that glare was making a difference. So I'm going to come in here. I'm actually just going to pull off some of the blue that we already put in, just to lighten it in the center. And that is fine. There we go. Now, what we're going to do, clean off the brush. Now that I have my brush cleaned off, we're just going to come into some of the titanium white. Just come right in there. And now, this is where the moonlight is the brightest, so we're just going to tap it in here. Just tap this in. Now, don't worry, we're hiding a little bit of the tree, but what we'll do is we'll come and we'll just bring it out. And you can see that moonlight just streaks right through. There we go. And that gives us such a neat, such an eerie effect. Now, if you just imagine yourself being chased through the woods at night by black riders, oh, that would be very scary. There we go. Knock off some of that white and then just come back in and just lightly just work that around, work it in, and that's going to pull some of it off. Knock it off your brush, come back. There we go. And that's all there is to it. Oh, that's an easy painting to do. This is a great one to start with. If you're a little scared about getting everything together, you can go pick up just a couple of colors. Just the black and the white acrylic. You can make your gray with that. You saw I used a sponge brush, which is just a couple of cents for one of those, and you just toss it away when you're done. Now, I hope you enjoyed that painting today. It's a little different than we normally do, but it's always a fun one when we go back into our stories and we look at those old stories and paint something that's inspired out of that. So I hope you like this today. There we go. So fun. All right, I'll see you next week. Goodbye and God bless. Thank you for joining me on today's painting. I'm so happy you were with me. Now, if you'd like to continue to go on painting adventures with me, become part of my fellowship. And you do that by clicking that subscribe button below. Yes, and be sure to give it a like and a share. That would be oh so helpful. Now, we don't know how many of these seeing stones are unaccounted for. So we don't know who else is watching. I've got to go. Have a good day.